All right, you might remember last time, and if you don't, it's up on YouTube. Pontifarlan, the ancient gold dragon, attacked, and the party tried to fight back while both being terrified out of their minds and also reluctant to further harm the already tortured being. Eventually, Merlina was able to trick him into a momentary calm by summoning a major illusion of her father, Prime Minister Viral, the bronze dragon form. And Pontifarlan, through conversation, confirmed that he had been captured by Dyrrn as understood and been kept in an animalistic state by monthly visits from the Corruptor. Each morning, after recovering during the evening, his scales were plucked from his form by Dyrn's underlings. Viral, via Merlina, promised to stand by Pontifarlan and to help avenge the centuries of torture before he left, allowing Merlina to drop her illusion. And then the party set about trying to release Pontifarlan from his magical chains. Moish was able to determine something of their nature, and Merlina discovered runes etched around the outside of the collar portion. Falafas was reminded by those of an old story from the Feywild about dwarven runes being part of a puzzle, and this sent you onto an eventual path of connecting the runes to sounds and the sounds to the secret of unlocking the device. With 9 of the party standing around, each touching a rune and speaking it aloud at once, the clasps unlocked and the chains dropped away from Pontifarlan's form after nearly 1,000 years of imprisonment. And that's where we continue on.
I remember it being much more problematic than that, but okay.
I don't know.
It's time for a theme song. Go, go, Power Rangers.
Rangers.
In that moment, as the chains fall away, Pontifarlan, still in his humanoid form, slumps down to the ground and breaks into tears.
Yeah.
Stands
We
there,
congrats.
or he kneels there while you all stand around him in your circle, just sobbing.
Hey, I mean, man, it's a happy occasion. You're free after all this time.
We must get you out of here.
Let's get out of here.
Eventually, he calms himself and doesn't rise up from his knees, but says in a low, sort of growl almost, "This needs to be avenged. I hope you understand that this must be made right."
Yeah.
We agree. In fact, we understand why you would find our realm's problems to not be your problems, but frankly, we share an enemy here. We should, in Dyrrn, we can work together to take him down.
I think, Dyrrn, that we should do this after you have some time to heal. Clearly, you have been very wounded, and how about we go to a safe place where for some days you will recuperate and then tell us what your thoughts on the matter are.
But Merlina, isn't the city under constant attack 24/7? Do we have the time?
But I mean, Akko, how much can you heal him?
I can use all my spells out.
Kundarashta says, shall I take a moment to find out how far away this Dyrrn might be?
Please.
Oh, I didn't know you could do that.
I think
Akko,
it is necessary.
go ahead and heal anyway, yeah?
You want me to do it?
Yeah, but it's a golden dragon. There's no way those thoughts are wasted on him.
By the way, if I have a potion of healing greater, but it's much less effective than Coco's healing.
Well, anything helps. Anything helps. I think that.
I mean, let's see if she can heal him first, and then if it's not enough, I'll give him a potion.
Okay.
Add 9.
9 point. Okay.
No, that's not as much as I thought. Is it a lower spell slot?
Done.
He probably has like 500 HP or something like that too.
How much did we take down with our attacks on him?
Not much. 60. I don't know.
Yeah, so basically when Coco healed him first, when we found him, we took away all of that healing.
Wait, I can borrow him the mantle of boldness, and
Lent
he can
him.
just cast some random spells and get healed to full.
If he'll get fully healed with the mantle of boldness.
Yes.
Yeah. Lapa
This
says
heals
that-
1d6 each time you cast a spell.
That sounds useful.
We can try that.
Yeah, sure. Could you try this on? And I handle him at the
Yeah, that's good.
mantle.
Explain the meaning of why you're passing it on to him.
So this is a kind of a special item that when you wear it, and while you wear it and you cast a spell, you immediately start feeling a bit better. It sort of picks up the moment you are casting a spell and tries to, I don't know, explain it, like compensate something, or I don't know. But the feeling is really nice, and you immediately feel a bit better about yourself and in general.
It's a bit like getting high.
Yeah. Just try it and wear it and try to cast any.
Oh yeah,
sort of
just
spell.
try it.
Just-
Fluff is the dealer.
first one for free.
So as you've been explaining this to him, he takes it from you and sort of puts it on anyway, looking a little bit unsure, but sort of wraps it around himself. And you do know that it takes a short rest to attune any item. So in this case, nothing happens at first.
Ooh, I didn't do that.
So he says, "We'll have to wait for this, but I do not know that this is appropriate. You should all be moving immediately."
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Another 22. Okay. 7. Yeah, he still has those scars across. You're feeling various bits and pieces of him, but yeah, his humanoid form is not. It's weird with dragons and how they polymorph. It's more on the level of true polymorph, I guess, than the idea is the hit points are combined. It's not like he has less hit points in his polymorphed forms. They're all just...
Wait, so he can polymorph into like a tiny animal and have 500 hit points?
I mean, yeah, it's a little weird. If he's literally casting it as polymorph, yes, but if he's doing this kind of shifting, then, or sorry, if he's doing it as a polymorph spell, then no, it would be normal. But this kind of is more who he is, how he is. It doesn't really require a spell slot. So.
Okay.
34.
34. Okay. Kundarashta is, yeah, he's getting close to his max again. Kundarashta has sat down, initially sort of waving a hand and shaking her head. She goes and sits down and does a different sort of spell. And after a few minutes go by, they're not long enough for a short rest. She picks her head up and says, "This is Dyrrn is not within a kilometer of us, but I do have a handle on his
Sense of direction.
a sense of direction at the very least. I also pick up something of an emotion, though it is hard for me to read. It is alien in nature, and it seems to be anger. So we might want to tread carefully as we progress."
What do you mean by it's alien in nature? It's anger.
It is hard to say. It is similar to seeing another color that you've never seen before, but you might describe it as red. This is like the same. His emotions are not like other mortals I know.
Okay.
I mean, hey, if he's angry, we know we did something right.
So are we moving towards him, guys, or away from him?
Yeah,
I think-
we have to. Revenge, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Pontifarlan is already striding over towards Kandarashtra and sort of half shouting in her face, "Which way? Where do we need to go next? Come!" And
He's embodiment of anger.
yeah,
Yo, chillax, dude. Revenge is a dish best served cold.
he doesn't even seem to hear you. He just stares down Kandarashtra until she sort of points off in a particular direction. And he just, without your leave, just shouts, "Come!" and starts to head that way.
All right, we follow after our new leader, I guess.
So
Yeah.
as the
Hey, let's go.
as the group moves out of, you're still heading deeper in, so you're not heading back the way you came from. You're continuing on out of this chamber, and it is the opposite side of this long chamber where he was kept. There is an opening, and then it descends quickly into a ramp which begins to cycle around. And there are a number of branchings off as you're going down, and each time Kundarashta hesitates and then just makes a choice.
Okay, interesting.
There are a couple times where she's actually stops you and says, "We have gone too far off, and we could continue this way for another 20 minutes and not avail of anything. We should go back and take the other turning, I think."
Oh, all right, but like at one cross section, the way that Kundarashta did not choose, like, can Moish just head that way for a little bit, like cast grease one time, and then like right in the puddle of grease, the greasy bandits were here, and then go the correct way.
Feel free. Yes, you can do that. The campaign 2 people will find this one. Oh, so it begins to feel a bit like a maze. It is close confines, and the walls are oddly smooth and tube-like. As places before they've been carved, perhaps everything feels much more organically formed, but then why would it be kind of equally sized? The tunnels are basically about 7 feet from edge to edge, and while not quite circular, there are like drippings and bits where the stone is broken or the water has come through. It seems
like a metro.
Uniform.
Yeah. Can you imagine, like, 1,000, 2,000 years from now, when they explore this time period, all the stuff they'll find? Selfies, metros.
Grease.
We should make a group survival check, please.
Oh. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Survival is what exactly? Intelligence, right? No, wisdom.
Survival is survival, I think.
Yeah, it's wisdom.
Based, yeah. Wisdom.
Okay, 13 plus 1, 14.
-1. Jeez.
No, not -1.
No, I'm talking about Sindrine.
Oh, which is not wise.
It's not wise at all.
I'm giving the luck point.
That's why I have a chance with her. No. I know her weaknesses.
Well, she still got an 18.
Well, I got an 8, and that's using my luck point.
8. 18.
22.
19. Darasha gets 19. Benadrin gets 24. Kaylin gets 18. And then you have too many people with you. Okay. That was an interesting mix. A few natural 20s, a few 1s.
Hey, it evens out.
Okay. Regardless, yes, it evens out. So you almost at the same time you come to the realization that even though you're going the right direction, you might consider finding an alternate way. The smoothness has sort of all clicked into place, and Philophus, you and did anyone else roll over 20?
No.
I think Valadrin. You and Valadrin sort of look at each other at the same time as you notice this pool of like goo that is like sliding down the edge of the ceiling. And you're able to sort of just stop and point the group back up the tunnel in the opposite direction, knowing that there is probably some sort of gelatinous cube type thing that makes these tunnels its home.
All right. Let's
This
go
is
back.
how Greece should look like.
I know Moish feels threatened. He's insecure all of a sudden.
All right, maybe a stealth check really
Yes,
quickly.
As you go back up the tunnel away from the dripping slime, make a stealth check.
No, philosophy.
And
Anyone who's trying.
Oh, pass without a trace, Coco. Pass
Yeah,
without a
yeah.
trace.
Oh, yes.
actually, I'll use the rolling from this second.
Alright, so that's 13 plus 10 plus 5, 28.
Oh, that's lower.
Ow, I'm going deaf. The connection is bad.
Oh dear.
There's so much light.
21.
So much light.
You'd be okay.
That's
21?
with-
That's with your
Guys,
plus 10?
Oh,
You literally just guessed the spell.
31.
Give you
Nice.
31. Okay. Stealth, that's 33 for Kandarashta. Valadrin, I'd say he got like
oh, we can hear you guys again.
34.
19.
19. Oh boy.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's with plus 10.
Okay. So you're reasonably confident, and it helps that the Warforged, or at least a group of the Warforged, are floating. You cautiously make your way back up and take a different turning. Kandarashta, now having an idea of what she's looking for, and with Valadrin's help, chooses the less traversed of the tunnels when possible, as the branchings off continue to occur. And eventually you move away from that feeling of smoothed out sense of tunnels and get back into a more sort of craggy form.
Sounds like a ring that you keep taking off and putting on, and that's super polished.
Yes. Eventually, you come to a new space, and you've been used to the Underdark just being a series of caverns. At this point, though, it is the walls and the cavern wall as you come out of this tunnel just fling away from you. And for all, you can't, even with dark vision, even with the dull light of some of these mushrooms that grow up ahead, you cannot see the ceiling. It might as well be outdoors at night. There is a breeze that actually blows through where you are. It's not outdoors. There's still the musty smells of the Underdark, but this is as large a space as you've ever encountered, seemingly without end.
That means that
Moish sneezes. How much does it echo?
Oh, there is no echo. It's, again, as if you came out of a cliffside. There's a bit of, the bouncing off of mushrooms ahead, and there is that sense of like, if they were a forest, they're weird as far as forest goes, but it's that kind of a vibe. Again, there's nothing coming from up above.
I believe I can fly.
I believe I can touch the
Copyright.
sky.
Copyright.
Guys, the connection is really bad. Can I end the call and call you back on a different internet connection? Just 1 minute.
Feel free.
Sure.
When he returns, Mosh lays dead on the ground.
So Moish just basically went to set some traps, right?
Sure.
That's a good idea.
So Pontifarlan again is his energy is chaotic at this moment.
All right, that's much better.
Pontifarlan is pacing around, and though he's aware enough to keep his voice lowered, he at one stage grabs your arm, Merlina, and says, "Where is Varel? Varel said he would be here. We need to approach this with delicacy, but we need to strike now and defeat this great evil."
I can't contact him right now. I've used up my spell slots.
He goes to Kundarashta next and says, "Which way is he? We shall strike immediately if we can." And Kundarashta looks over to you, Merlina, and just gives us not even a wink or anything like that, but you see her following your lead to a degree. And she says, "My spell has run out. I need time to recover it. Perhaps we can call a rest here momentarily."
Sure.
Yeah, Moish says it would be wise if we actually want to defeat Dyrrn and have our revenge, that we're fighting at least half strength, because right now we're all depleted.
Yeah.
And Pontifarlan looks between you and the others and says, "I do not understand why goblins are even allowed to speak in such company. What is going on here? Are you cowards?"
Sir Pontifarlan, we saved you after 1,000 years, and I know that for you this would be no feat at all, but for ordinary magic users like us, it was a tremendous feat. And before we face what is likely to be another tremendous feat from somebody who managed to capture you, we could use all the recovery that we can get in the short period of time before the city gets destroyed.
Speaking of the city, what is Dyrrn doing at this very moment? What has he orchestrated?
An invasion.
An invasion. So he is having his minions destroy the lives and livelihoods of hundreds upon thousands of citizens. Yes?
For a couple of days now.
That we should wait for more hours to pass by.
We're gonna follow your lead.
Yeah, we're just saying, if you keep going, we might not be able to offer you all the support that you would want from us. Not because we're unwilling to, but because we can't.
But whatever support we have is yours.
He raises his chin and looks off into the distance, and you see these emotions warring across his face. Whatever state he's been in, he's lost the habit of controlling his facial expressions.
Mm-hmm.
And you see him go from intense rage and anger to sorrow, then back to, I don't know, a sort of wry shakiness, which then solidifies back into fury and anger. And he turns back to you and says, "I cannot let it pass. I cannot let it pass. This evil must be eradicated, and we must continue on now."
We're following you. Let's go.
He gestures to...
By the way, just before we move on, if it's hard for you to speak about it, just forget it. But how did it happen that you were captured in the first place?
So it doesn't happen again.
Yeah, exactly. I just want to prevent it. Maybe you faced some really powerful foe, which we might not be even able to fight with.
Well, he said it was Dyrrn himself, right?
He gestures to Kondrashta to lead on and says, "Let us continue to walk." And as she shrugs her shoulders and sort of begins to lead you off into the forest of mushrooms. None of them small. In this space, they've all grown to incredible heights, almost redwood forest size in nature of stretching up out of view. Can't see the caps at all, just the stalks. Thick, almost size of houses in some case around, these very large mushroom stalks, but plenty of space in between them as well. She leads you off, picking her way through that space, and Pontifarlan begins to speak in return. He says, "My memories are patchy. The suffering and again, I was an animal for much of these 1,000 years, experiencing only pain and brief moments of lucidity as he forgot to top off the spell under which he had me. I believe it began soon after we erected the barrier. I had returned to the city of Dyrrn, which was new in its way. Perhaps only 400 years since it had been set aside to be a bastion of technology, hope, control within the surrounding areas. An emissary came to me from the underground kingdoms, that of the underdark. He spoke in glowing terms of the synergy that our two lands could have, how we could work together for the betterment of all. It was intriguing. The Dark Elves, the Drow, they had long have a history in all realms I knew of careful, unique, calm study. Those on the surface, those under the sunlight, tend to rage about wars and much mayhem. The dwarves as well always lean in that direction, but the drow were even more peaceful than most elves. They were more considered. They had the longer view, and perhaps this is due to their being away from the sunlight. This emissary, however, I sensed something darker in him. He was not full drow. He had eyes that pierced deeper than they should. His insight was great. But we had solved one problem already, the erection of the barrier. I cannot, of course, speak further of that with you, but I followed him to an arranged meeting where I would to speak for the lands above in some capacity. What I remember is feeling a probe, a mental force, an intrusion, and then a surety that this arrangement, in fact, this blending together of all minds into a great collective consciousness, was in truth for the betterment of all.
It sounds familiar.
It does.
Believing that, the emissary approaching me, I saw that he was the one best suited to lead this unification. And I recall kneeling before him to accept my place in the arrangement. The next time that I was conscious of myself must have been hundreds of years later at that stage. I remember the pain. I remember already then being stripped daily of my scales. But I was not myself for many, many, many cycles and years.
You know, you being the great golden dragon that you are, I can only imagine how powerful a mind flayer or a group of mind flayers would need to be in order to subject you under their spell. How do you think they did that?
Meanwhile, Moish kind of like leans over and whispers to Fluffus. He's like, he doesn't know what his scales are used for, right?
Seems so. You think we should make him aware?
I mean, he's gonna find out sooner or later.
Yeah, maybe it's a good idea before he actually fall into full rage because of it. Maybe we should try to make him as much aware as possible in order to prevent any sort of like explosions of rage which might backfire us.
It might be best to frame it as not his own people using him as a resource, but rather them being deceived into doing so.
I still have one use of Dragon Shard with me, just to demonstrate it if needed.
All right.
Would you like to do it?
No, go ahead.
Maybe let's toss a coin, and by that I mean roll.
Oh yeah, sure. Moish does with his sleight of hand check.
You roll a sleight of hand, and Falafis, you roll.
We'll just both roll on the app. We will see
a natural one. Do I have any luck points? I do.
You, Falafis, roll a perception check.
Wait.
And
well, it's not a natural one, but it's not that great. It's 4 plus 15, 19.
19.
I rolled 14, and what I'm rolling? Perception.
Perception.
So it's 26.
Okay.
Damn.
So, Moish does his trick and like fumbles the coin a tiny bit, and you call heads, and it comes up tails.
I'm like, all right, Coco, come here. You need to do something.
No.
Taco's delivery, I think we're risking life and limb here.
No, but because you see, here's the plan.
Oh.
He's going to be less angry if we demonstrate that his dragon scales are used as a magic resource if they're used to heal him.
Okay, Valadrin, Sandrine.
Because what am I going to do, Philopus? Am I going to cast grease on him?
Everyone roll.
Actually, Kunjarashta's the most responsible one, isn't she?
Yeah. I agree.
It's not like we have been benefiting greatly for a long period of time off of these skills.
Have we all been benefiting it? We just used it in order to get into this place where we are right now. So only to help him.
Yeah, exactly. We didn't take any public transport, use any utilities,
No. We can just, not talk about it for now.
Lady Kundarashta, Philopus wants to tell you something.
I fell in love with you from the first moment I saw you.
What's Sandrine's reaction?
Yeah, what's Sandrine's reaction?
No, okay, but guys, seriously, it might be, we're at this stage, we're like a group huddle.
Yeah, you are.
At this stage, it really might be best if it's revealed to him like while he's being healed, so he has some positive associations instead of just simple rage.
I back away.
I suddenly feel bad.
Okay, Merlina, he is kind of your relative.
Okay,
kind of your relative.
Pontifarlan Street.
Pontifarlan.
Seth
Seth MacFarlane.
Hey, dude.
Pontifarlan, I'm really sorry, but I have to tell you this because I don't know if you're aware of this or not. We're really poorly familiar with the history of your kingdom, but do you know why they have been doing this to you and stripping you of the scales?
He says, I have a
always assumed it was part of some sick scheme to keep me enraged and damaged.
So when you got captured, the scales weren't being used by the city in order to power its needs.
A way to be straightforward.
No, he goes,
What?
what?
Wasn't it a main source of...
The Underdark has made a deal with all the leaders of the city, and the leaders of the city that it couldn't make a deal with it just used mind flayer power over, and the deal is such that they obey some of the orders and requests given by the Underdark, and in exchange the Underdark provides your scales in order to power the city.
So he stops in his tracks. Kandrashta as well sort of stops and suddenly positions herself behind some of you guys. He puts a hand up to the bridge of his nose for a second. And again, you see those emotions flitting across his face of confusion and then kind of consternation and then anger and then pulling himself back from that and shaking his head. And then he begins speaking out loud and says, I don't have enough information to determine the justice in this scenario. You understand that my essence is that of lawfulness and what is right and good. Evil must be eradicated. How can I determine the motives and the guilt of an entire culture spent over 1,000 years, generation after generation?
Sir, if you would allow me, I'm 100% sure that the ordinary citizens and most, if not almost all of the lords had no idea because they have been brainwashed.
That
They didn't
does
know.
not mean they were not complicit. They must have questioned. Magic does not come for free.
Yes, but that said, they were able to manipulate such powerful creature as you are. What it is to manipulate like just the mere human beings, to lie to them, to get them into sort of mind tricks in order to explain this sort of magic.
Is it even possible to question your own thinking when you're under mind flare influence?
And many lies have been told. This is by far the biggest one and the most painful to you, but they've also made people do things like kill ordinary citizens in order to be able to create the Iron Forge.
Warforged.
The Warforged. It's all a plan of the Underdark. They're planning a takeover, but this is just one pawn. This is just one city. What they're planning, what Dyrrn is planning, is a lot greater than this. And to him, you were just a means to an end.
Kundarashta speaks at this stage as well and says, I am very new to power. I have been only in charge within my own organization, my own house, for 25 years. That being said, I am also quite young, only 48 years old. So this is, well.
So he's like,
The height of youth.
She says, there was a time when I do not think that I was under the influence of the Mind Flayers and of Dyrn's plan. Yes, I grew up. The dragon shards were used for everything within our culture. Magic can be available in a pouch. That said, we did still have our own magic and our own components, and it was not lost to us completely how to live without. The leaders, though, I can tell you, were brainwashed. We would go to meet with the emissaries, as you say, from the Underdark, and we would fall under their sway. This happened to me, and only through this child, Ako, was I cleansed of that. I believe that she had cleansed you as well.
Yeah.
I think you also have to look at it from a bit from the other angle. Just try to realize how much good was achieved thanks to that, to those dragon shards.
Might not be.
Yeah. What's been said already been said.
It just shouldn't sound like a proposition for him to keep sacrificing himself.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't even trying to tell it. I was just trying to. So what I'm trying to say is that people having this sort of benefit are not trying to question it. Like, if you won a huge lottery, you will not question how it works. You are just happy to have the money. That's all I'm trying to say.
People
And,
don't question their good luck.
Yeah, exactly. And this sort of, well, not technology, but magic that allows for such, for so many branches of culture, of anything actually, that influenced anything in this city, right?
Make a persuasion check.
To natural 20, and my persuasion is plus 12, so
32. He says, I find, yes, especially coming from you, elf, you of the Feywild, those of flimsy morality at best.
thank you.
This does make sense. They could not have known, and those mortals, they live in such a way that it would have been passed from one to the other. It is even more important then that we eradicate this evil and save those up above. You realize, of course, though, that the city and the culture around it will fall to pieces without my daily sacrifice.
Au contraire, my friend, I think they will be in a huge need of guidance, how to survive it, how to deal without it. But I'm pretty sure they will do fine having someone to guide them through those times.
If we survive the battle ahead.
Yes.
And he begins walking again, and Kundarashta rushes to keep up towards the front.
Besides,
Oh, glad that's sorted.
The forest goes on for ages. You've been walking already for 30, 40 minutes at this stage, and another hour goes by, and you are still in amongst the boughs of these large mushrooms. There's very little change in the scenery. The moisture in the air, it's still damp, but it's not the worst ever. The soil underfoot you begin to sort of connect to, and it's odd. It's firm enough, but it does have a sort of springiness to it. It almost makes you feel like you're walking on, I don't know, like AstroTurf? Now, what is that? Like the playground material, where it just has a little give to it.
Yeah. It kind of softens the blow when you fall off the swing.
Yeah, and the nice thing is it's also softening your footfalls. There's not a lot of clatter and clanging other than those that have armor. Again, after that hour or so has gone by, you begin to see light up ahead. It's still a ways in the distance, but Kundarashta calls a halt and says, we are still a ways away. I've done another brief spell, and we're not within a kilometer of him yet. But I have other senses, and those especially of enemies, and there seems to be many of them up ahead where that light is coming from.
How many?
A lot.
Are they heading our way?
It is hard to say. It pings out and comes back to me, so
Probably.
Maybe Using this as a pretext to rest, Moish says maybe we should lay an ambush for them and collapses on the ground.
Starts licking the mushroom. So we're gonna say.
Perhaps we can find a better place than on the ground in the middle of what is, well, I don't know.
Moish raises himself up.
Beladrin, you haven't been carrying him, have you?
No.
Yes, upseas.
One's asked.
He's pretty exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want our goblin to pass out again.
How about this then? And Beladrin speaks. Those of us that weren't particularly expended in the travels so far can, well, as in I still have almost all of my spell slots and things of that nature. We can scout on up ahead and see what that light is. If they're coming towards us, then we can hide, and if they are not, then we can rest.
I have 2 spell slots.
All right, but while he is scouting ahead, is that a short rest?
It could be, depending.
That doesn't do anything.
Okay.
So, Kandarashta says, I can come or go. You tell me which you think is better.
I mean, I'm halfway through my spell slots. I don't think it matters tremendously whether I expend them now or later, so I can go on and scout.
Okay, so Pontifarlan says, I am not known for being quiet. I shall stay behind.
Good idea. You need to recover a bit. Get a short rest if you can.
And attune to this magical
Looking good.
mantle. Okay, so who's going on ahead?
By the way, I should make it inactive on my inventory, right? At least that.
Yeah, at least make it inactive, but
Yeah.
we'll sort that out later.
Yeah, no worries. Wow, okay. I forgot that it did add like 3 armor class.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your mentor or wherever you got that from was like,
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. In any case, and it also, oh no, it didn't give you disadvantage on stealth checks. It just said
no,
that.
that's the thing. Yes, that's the thing. It was like medium armor without the disadvantages for me.
Okay, so again, Beladrin's going on ahead. Marlena?
Yeah.
Anyone else?
No, Moish reads his book.
Want me to come?
No, you need to rest, Akko, so you're fine. Moish, you read your book?
I'll cast Tiny Hat for us, and I'll stay.
Okay.
So just me and Beladrin.
No, I mean, like, Falchion can come as well. Yeah, Falchion goes as well with you, so you've got 2 people with a very similar voice.
What, Coco and Falchion?
No, Beladrin and Falchion. They're very close in voice.
Yeah.
Sindrine can accompany you. I think she was not actually expanding her slots.
Have pity on Evan's split personality disorder.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sindrine's okay, actually. She hasn't really seemingly spent any spells. So yeah, she'll come too. So the siblings all go. And Falchion.
And none of us will come back. We're just one of us, and then traitors.
Family reunion or picnic.
Okay.
You know how those
So
Thanksgivings go.
the rest of you can take a short rest. Moish, well, that you can roll hit dice if you need to recover any hit points.
No, can I roll for recovering wizard spell slots?
I mean, I don't know. Is that
It says wizard hit die 1d6 to total 4.
Yeah, but that's not hit. That's just as a rogue and as a wizard, you have
Oh, I see.
amounts of hit die.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
That's why I'm going, because there's no point really.
Okay, but Kandarashta needs to mark off some spell slots because she didn't before. And Okay. Okay, so Marlena, Sindrine, and Beladrin and Falchion all need to roll stealth checks as you sneak your way up towards this light.
Whatever you guys do, just remember I'm the eldest.
Go stealth check.
Oh, me too?
Yeah, you're going with them.
Okay. I took it for granted that I'm amazing at stuff. 24.
24.
Mm.
Okay, yeah. Sindrine also is 22. Philadrin is 19. And Falchion is clanking behind you a little bit. He's not as quiet as the rest of you. But you move forward regardless. As you get closer to the light, it becomes clear that it's torchlight, firstly, and not just the glow of mushrooms or anything. After so long in the dark and space, it's
Overwhelming.
It's not overwhelming, but it does sort of make you feel more keenly that you are underground. You had kind of gotten just used to using your dark vision and a few extra little lights that Akko had created just to see you through your way, and it felt like you could have been anywhere, and especially given the high ceilings. This now, even though the ceiling is still out of reach, you are in this weird perpetual night space. And as you come up to the edge, like there is a point at which the mushrooms just stop, and there is still another 250 yards of like cleared space, and that light now is enough to show the space ahead of you, and it's coming from within some sort of cavity that's set down. Again, you still don't see, as far as you can see out towards the edges, the walls or the ceiling of this space. Whatever this is, you're in such a large space that it is.
I say quietly over the walkie-talkie, okay, guys, if I can just mention this, if we can avoid the fight to keep more points to defeat Dyrrn, I think that's the ideal outcome for us. So if need be, we're going to fight these guys, otherwise we're just scouting out a way to get past them, aren't we?
Sindrine says, there's no way that we're going to fight anyone with just the four of us. The light is big. This is an encampment. This is a bulk of force of some kind.
Do you think it's mind flayers?
And others, I'm sure.
Okay.
Beladrin says, let's just get a little closer, and we'll see what we can do. He reaches out a hand himself and casts. Let's see if it moves with him now. It doesn't. He doesn't cast anything. He would know that it wouldn't move. He says, I wanted to cast darkness, but, well, it would just stay in one place, and that doesn't really help us much. Instead, he uses his disguise self to make himself look like one of those misshapen creatures. No, Grandpa, we don't want to talk. He uses his disguised self to make himself look like one of those creatures you fought initially in the forest, and you fought a whole wave of them. One of the taller ones with the sort of, they're not mind flayer like tentacles, but this kind of face that opens up and does the little dangly stuff. Sindrine immediately shifts into a similar creature.
And I shift into a big walking eyeball. What's his name?
How are you shifting?
Eyeball.
Yes. But how are you shifting?
Minor image.
Minor image doesn't move.
Oh, okay. Oh man. Okay, then I'm gonna have to use a major image, which I do third level major image.
How long does it last?
It lasts an hour, I think, or 10 minutes. 10 minutes.
Falchion says, perhaps don't worry about it. I also don't have a disguise in particular.
I suppose you and I do look kind of like creatures of the underdark.
He sort of like puts a hand up to his metal jaw and says, I mean, that's kind of you. In any case, we'll trail behind a bit. You move up towards the space, and as you get closer to the edge and overlooking, it's revealed to you essentially within this cleft in the space. There is, similar to when you approached the Mind Flayer hive before, but even more so, there are hundreds and hundreds of ramshackle buildings that are covering the walls of this canyon, more or less. You see misshapen creatures moving in and out. There are probably 500 at a guess of these creatures that you fought. There's the ones that your siblings are currently disguised as. There are other ones, the smaller ones that are like these goblin hybrids. A lot of them have multiple faces and heads, multiple arms sticking out. There are animals that like pack animals that are moving stuff from one point to the other that are, again, corrupted, misshapen versions of donkeys or cows and cattle. There are plants that are growing at the side that are sort of moving and writhing and snapping at the air around them. Even with that, though, there's this sense of not battle, like there aren't weapons being gathered and things. It's just a town going about its life. It's a very discomforting scene.
Can I do an Arcana check to see if I think these are like decent creatures or if they're all bad and vile?
Well, yeah, it's not an Arcana check. I guess I would just make an insight check.
Sure.
Common sense check.
Yeah.
I don't have much of that. But 27.
27.
You
Okay.
do.
So you guys are sort of laying flat on the lip of the canyon and sort of staring down into it. I mean, they don't seem to be a society. They're going through the motions. But what's funny is studying their patterns, you begin to see literally patterns of a group of creatures or like the goblinoid ones will come out and sort of run into the center of town, and then they will, play some little game with sticks for 2 minutes and then drop it and run back inside. And 10 minutes later,
So it's a loop.
they'll run back out and do the things with sticks again. The animals kind of go back and forth, and you can see some of them have like wounded legs that are just sort of dragging behind them, but they're just continuing to do this pattern of moving back and forth.
Okay, the legends and dreams, you see this, they're doing this on a loop. They're repeating the same actions over and over again. I don't know if this is some kind of major illusion or if they're brainwashed. What do you think?
I mean, what would be the point of it?
To cover up something else, obviously.
All right.
Moish isn't there, so he can't speak. Whatever.
Yeah. I mean, there may be. Well, I'd say you're about 500 feet away, so you're just out. You're getting to the edge of the range of your walkie-talkies. You could probably report back if you wanted to.
Moish, we have a situation here with your intelligence. What do you think is happening here? Basically, we're seeing an image. It's a whole city of crooked creatures going about their lives, but it's on a loop. Every 10 minutes, everybody repeats the same motions, and I'm not sure if this is some kind of major image or major illusion, or if they're brainwashed and doing some activity that Dyrrn wants them to do, or they broke. What do you think?
Are they doing something productive?
Are they? Game Master.
I mean, you're studying their patterns. You don't see them doing anything that is like building or storing. Even the animals that are moving stuff they're just moving it from one pile to another. across the town.
No, honestly, they just seem to be doing stupid things like bringing stuff from the left pile to the right and then from the right pile to the left.
All right, so here's my hypothesis. When we destroyed the central hive brain, these people didn't, like, fell outside of basically the program. No one is giving them new commands.
They are
So,
Agent Smiths.
so you're saying they're like some
The opposite of Agent Smith's. Agent Smith
Oh, yeah.
has agency.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so they're just
Can I make some sort of roll, like, to see if I'm right about this?
Yeah, I mean, you can make an intelligence check.
Sure, I'll do that. It's a 3 plus 10, 13.
oh come on.
I have no idea if I'm right or not.
You're distracted by your book right now, so
Oh, yeah.
you're
No, I'm
perhaps-
good. I'm getting all the low rolls out of the way now. Not when we're fighting Dyrrn.
Yeah, you. I don't know.
Did I also heard it, or is it only for Moish?
Yeah, no, you're on the walkie-talkies with
Okay,
them.
so I would suggest if you could try to put something on their way in a
Obstruct
way
them,
that
see if they...
yeah, in a way that they do not realize something was added, in order to see how they will react to an obstacle.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. Okay, so if Sindrine, we
A proper obstacle or an illusory one?
A real one. I think one of you can mend or shape earth or of some sort.
yeah, I can do that. Okay, so I can use a cantrip, right, to mold the earth.
What's the range on that?
The range is 30 feet. Yeah. Yeah.
If you wanted to do it in their midst, then no, that it's too far away. You're maybe 200 feet up on the wall of the canyon. If you wanted to just drop it on them from, like, pull it out from where you are and drop it, yes,
that's a
you could
better
do that.
idea. I think I'd go ahead and do that. So I'd find like 30 feet somewhere away from us, some sand on the wall, gather it up and drop it on top of one of the creatures that keeps going left and right, dragging its foot.
Okay, and specifically not stone but sand?
Sand,
like you want to
yeah.
crumple the stone to bits. Okay, so this cloud of, or this chunk of rock slides out from the wall where you are and then sort of crumples itself into smaller stones, almost dust, and then plummets downwards, spreading out a little bit, but mostly retaining its clumpiness. And do you want to, what's your intent, is to hit it or just to block its way a little bit?
Just
Hit
to disturb, like imagine if
Hit
you're
it.
walking down, and yeah, sure, and a bunch of sand and small rocks. So I'm not trying to kill it or anything. I just want to see if it tracks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So regardless, I mean, make a dexterity check just to see if you get it straight on top. Natural 20. Okay. So you time it just to the bit where, again, it's this weird kind of donkey creature that's carrying a pack and is being led by one of the goblinoid. Again, the goblin has like this extra face sticking out the top side of its head, which can't really see where it's going, but the other one can, the other part of its face can. And the donkey creature has 3 ears, and it's actually a little extra elongated, and they've used that to spread 2 packs on top of it to sort of balance it out so it doesn't break in half. The cloud of dust comes straight down onto the thing's face and the donkey, just in this kind of explosion, and they more or less just keep walking. The dust, I mean, it looks like it hits them, and you don't see them like
It flies
pushing
through
through
them.
it, but it just, they keep going, and looking at what was left, the dust that's there on the ground, you don't see their passing their tracks going through it.
Ah, it's measured. To Dyrrn, you are.
Wait,
behind
what
the-
if these are ghosts?
Keep in mind that I think Major Image major illusion, major image still has some sort of range on it. So if you want to cast it,
Yeah, let's guys, let's go
enough,
outside
or it will disappear.
and see if we can still see it. If we move like more than 500 feet away, is it still going to be there? Sindri?
Oh, all right. Yeah, so you kind of get up and move a little bit away from the lip and head over away. It stays as far as you can get away from it while still maintaining it in view, and it's harder to keep it in view because of the way the canyon and the cleft is. But you're able to get, I mean, at least 300 feet away, or yeah, 400 feet, 500 feet. You kind of go out of range of the walkie-talkies at one point to get far enough along the thing, and it continues on in its loop, and the town itself spreads for quite a ways as well. I mean, again, hundreds, sort of 400 of these creatures seem to be here. It kind of, you keep going with it, and you don't really get to the distance. It's that the canyon sort of kind of closes back up again, and it ends in that fashion. So it's not like the canyon keeps going. It just sort of closes up, and that's the end of the habitation part.
Point is either all of it or some of it is a major image. We're not going to have to fight all of these people. I do wonder how Kuntarashta sensed all of these creatures if they're just an illusion, though.
Because they're ghosts.
Okay. How? Maybe we should go back, guys, and ask Kuntarashta about it.
Well, if Alphys is there, you can just ask her. We don't have to go all the way back.
Are
We
we
can-
within walkie-talkie range?
We can move back to walkie-talkie range.
Okay. Philophus, we're pretty sure that this is a major image, but what's confusing us here is that clearly Count Kuntarashta could sense these creatures when she was reaching out with her mind. So could you ask her to give a potential explanation for what it is we're looking at?
Yeah, sure, no problem. So what is she
yeah.
doing now?
Oh, she's just sort of sitting in a vaguely meditative posture. Yeah.
Sure, so I'll approach her. I'm sorry to bother you, but it seems that our friends that are scouting encountered what you sensed and thought that are a lot of creatures. They think that it is a major illusion, which doesn't make sense to me, actually.
I step in. Which questions why you sensed that there were many people there? Could you explain that?
Good girl. She says, your other ranger would know of this skill, which is to have a favored enemy. I have been granted the power to sense the life forms of those that are considered my enemies. In this case, I do not know which life forms they are, but I know they are at least of the many that I have studied. And again, it is a wide field, perhaps. There are those of the drow, there are those of the goblinoid races, there are those of the aberrations, like we are currently facing, so mind flayers would fall into that category. But there are also giants amongst those that I can sense. I do not think it is that, but it is not so certain which one I am getting the pings from.
Akko,
But this is just magic.
Yeah.
What I mean, yes, if what you're saying is the case, it is likely hiding something. Perhaps I should come and, well, I cannot.
Okay, I get it. They are hiding something under that illusion. Is that what you're trying to say?
It is more than illusion, yes. There are a number of entities in that space.
Okay.
There are a number of entities in that space.
So it's possible that some of the entities are real and the other ones are an illusion that are here just to distract us. Do you guys think there's any point in me trying to detect magic, or is it clear enough at this point and we should just go explore?
Valadrin says,
Wait, I
we've
have a spell for that,
I
but
think
I'm
we've learned at
far
this
away.
stage that we really need to figure out some way of dispelling magic.
Okay, can I? I can't go and join them, can I?
Sorry, Akko was asking me what Valadrin wears, but I'll tell her. What were you asking?
Whether or not can I go and join them?
Sure, if you want to.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
And then when I'm there, I'm casting. Where is it? True seeing.
True sight, right?
True sight. No, seeing. True seeing.
True seeing. But it gives you true sight, I believe. Let me look it up. True seeing. There we go. Ooh. You see things as they actually are. Nature has true sight, notices secret doors, and can see into the ethereal plane. Okay. True sight.
And obviously I'm not close enough, so I cast invisibility on myself to get closer.
Well, yeah, the only way you can get closer is to go into the canyon.
Can someone cast fly on me?
Sindrian reaches out and just touches your shoulder. Says, just give it a try.
Sure. So I'm flying, invisible, and true seeing.
Yeah, let me just...
Wait.
yeah.
Yeah, all
Yeah,
fine.
concentration. Okay, so as long as Sindrian maintains concentration, you're able to fly for 10 minutes.
You know I was joking with that. I love her. You know, just stay focused.
It's all right. Time is ticking.
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to look up True Sight itself really quickly to see if it does what I think it does. Visual illusions.
I just realized I was muted.
Okay. Yeah, you were muted that whole time.
Oh no, were you talking
Nice.
a lot?
Yes.
Everyone's ignoring
Just
you.
one ear. But what were you gonna say?
I don't remember anymore.
Okay. Okay, so Philopus, as you float up into the air, and again, the rest of them can't see you, but you float up into the air. You look down upon this kind of canyon town, and you see that it is mostly a shimmering illusion. There are, however, these figures that are just sort of standing catatonic in place. They're not moving as the illusion is moving. They're just scattered throughout this canyon, not in the buildings, which are themselves illusory, but just on the mouth, like the ground of the canyon itself. There are about 250 total, scattering of mostly drow elves, and a few sort of humans as well.
But why half? Just half of what our friend sensed?
No, she didn't sense the 400. That was Merlina and Valadrin's kind of estimate of how many.
No, but she said at the very beginning, when she was using that sort of ping magic, that there were around 500 creatures.
Yeah,
Oh.
she did.
And now I see only 200. Yeah.
Looking
She's
the
a traitor.
turning and looking the other direction, you see perhaps another 250. There you go.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. So yes, you see all of those, and again, they're mostly drow, and they're all different. Well, they're not all different ages necessarily. There's no children among them, but they all are just sort of standing kind of catatonic in place. Their clothing is loose, as in they've been maintained and they're healthy enough, but they're just kind of standing there.
Losing weight.
Can
Their
I?
eyes are all open.
Wait, catatonic. That rings a bell. Like the mind flares were, remember? After we
Yeah.
took out the big brain. Maybe I was onto something with my conspiracy theory after all.
Immediately, of course, immediately I tell everything through walkie-talkie. Okay, do I see anyone that could potentially be casting this sort of spell on everyone, or are there just those? Well, probably with this many people, I would not be able to see anyone standing out.
No, but you can make a perception check.
Sure. Natural 20. I mean, today I'm on fire. And perception.
Well. Okay, so you're looking potentially for a person, but you're normally looking as you move around anyway and sort of perceiving the things that are there. With this true sight upon you as well, I mean, you can see everything. You see even beyond the actual material plane in front of you, beyond the illusion, beyond the physical forms, you see like the little flitting creatures from the ethereal plane that are just kind of moving amongst the bits. You see these tiny tethers of light that are coming out of each of the drow that are standing there and sort of converging off into the distance. You can't see where it's going necessarily, but they're all sort of heading off in a certain direction. And then you do spot this embedded into the canyon wall, just this small device, but almost like smoke billowing out of it. You sense that the illusion is coming from there.
Okay. Do I see the boundaries of the smoke itself? I mean, I just don't want to be in it.
I mean, in order to get sort of, you're floating over top, but in order to see enough, you've kind of moved over. So you're inside the illusion.
Already, okay.
Stage. But you can't see what device is doing this. You just see that it is sort of wedged into the wall in some form.
Okay.
Man, if we could be attacked immediately by 250 real creatures.
500.
500 real creatures.
Yeah. Actually, 500 from one side and then 500 from the other.
No.
Yeah. All right. That's not good. Guys, should I approach and try to turn off the device?
Go ahead.
Or I mean,
Moish is just reading his book. Sure, whatever.
That's exactly actually what happens.
Yeah.
Honey, I have given up our child for adoption. That's great, honey. That's great.
Whatever you think is best.
That's true.
Sindrine applies her higher intelligence, or Moshe's higher intelligence, but he's distracted. She says, what's the point? What are we hoping to achieve with this? I mean, we turn it off, we can see them, but then what?
I mean, why is the illusion on? I think is the big question. What are they trying to cover up themselves? Why? Why are they creating this whole illusion to hide?
Why is it of such a poor quality that we were able to distinguish it from the very first moment that it's something going on here?
Made in China.
This device is...
I've never heard of this town of China.
Yeah. Manufactured in China. I don't know. Why are they here in the first place? You mentioned that there are elves and what else?
Like 90%, 95% of them are drow. There are humans scattered in among them as well.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Philosophy can try to distinguish one of the real Dao elves and grab them, and then we could question them, which might go better than trying.
Sure. I tried to find like a smaller one which I can, drag with me.
Okay.
Just send them first.
Yeah. I mean, though their eyes are open, they're not moving. So as you sort of approach, they don't make any sign that they can see you. What yeah.
What range?
No. Sorry. So you find one that you think you could reasonably pick up.
Yeah. And I try to take him with me.
Okay, so it's her. Yeah, you gravitate towards the female one, and
Philopus.
you. How do you kind of grab her?
Like a sack of potatoes, just hop.
Okay, so you fly down to maybe sort of like waist level almost, and then just kind of like grab into the middle section.
Yeah.
Okay. As you do so, the crowd of elves around you sort of snap their attention over onto you. And the illusion flickers and drops, so all of you now see the canyon full of drow elves.
Wait, just to make sure, I'm still invisible. It's just that this one creature suddenly started to bend.
You're not invisible because you've interacted with. So you use
invisibility
an
dropping?
Does invisibility drops when you interact?
Yeah.
No, it's when you cast a spell or hurt the person.
Or let's see. Spell ends for a target that attacks or casts a spell.
Okay. See?
Okay, that's fair.
Right.
Okay, so no, you stay invisible, but
They look in your direction anyway, because you
and
press the thing.
again, the illusion flickers, and you can all see now that the whole crowd of drow that is standing here has turned their heads or their bodies to orient on this other drow that is now starting to float upwards and away from the group.
That must be looking hilarious.
Poor guys, bye.
Yeah, even move her hand like.
Right.
Fast and greasy.
I don't think he knows. No, we can hear your bathroom noises, Dennis.
No, it's not bathroom noises.
I know.
Tamara is washing the dishes.
Well, that's what we can hear in the background. You hear the sounds of washing dishes.
Yes.
So where that?
All of a sudden.
No, Moish processes what he read better when he washes the dishes.
Good to know. Kaelin stands nearby, just drying them as you finish.
Yeah. And we talk about like magic theory.
Which he knows nothing about. Yes, you're right, sir. It's fascinating. You're so intelligent, Moish.
Why, thank you.
If you ever need a pep talk, you just go up to him.
So again, Philopus, as you begin to lift this drow away from the group, the whole crowd has sort of turned to watch her and the space around you.
Is she aware or try to act in any sort of way?
Yeah, as you look over, she is, her eyes have gone a little bit wide, but she is not necessarily struggling, but she is sort of like, her head is beginning to dart around a little bit, and her limbs are starting to sort of like grab out, and they're sort of patting you as like she can feel. You get maybe another 30 feet of altitude for the group that's immediately around you begin to point upward, and just in a scattering, you see that the whole group begins to lift their arms up. It's not a shout, it's just ah, comes out of the whole 500 of them simultaneously.
I think they're enough.
That must be sounds super awesome, probably in the cave.
You haven't heard an echo before now, but a large group of it just shouting off. It begins to spread throughout the space, and even the half a kilometer away that the rest of you are amongst the mushroom stalks, you hear this oh. It's a cacophony of voices. It's not just a single tone. There's females and males in there as well, and it's surreal and it's terrifying in its own way. And we have another three takes. At that stage, Philophus.
I wonder what Philophus and Merlin are up to.
At that stage, Philophus, the drow that you're holding begins to actually sort of struggle and doing this weird. It's still very not human, if you know what I mean. Like a human would just really sort of wriggle and stuff. This is more rhythmic of let me jerk and sort of like flinging out, trying to connect with you and hit you. So make a. At this stage, it's a contested strength roll. You still have advantage because you're invisible.
13, and it's strength, right?
Yeah.
-1. I'm weak, yeah. So 12. So another one for 16. So 15. 15 is a better one, yeah.
15. Okay, but she is surprisingly strong for being lightweight and wiry. And she just manages to connect with her flinging arms with your nose, and like it hurts a lot. And you kind of let her slip slightly, and she doesn't fall off completely, but now she's not like it's becoming harder to hold on to her, especially to lift her. You're maybe another 30 feet away from sort of getting her over the edge if you want to do this.
Everyone, just are you able to somehow help me with this?
What's going on?
You got it. We believe in you.
I'm just stealing a person.
The group is now pointing.
Okay, sure, I can do it. I can help get that.
Can you maybe at least do a major illusion so we are like invisible to them? Like I don't know, create clouds or something to cover us.
Do a major image and make it look like she fell down under the ground and disappeared into the ground. And in the meantime, Philophus and Dyrrn this.
So, I mean, you can't necessarily make her go all the way in, but maybe like make her disappear into the wall
Smash into
of the cavern. Because it's outside of your range to go lower than that. The rest. Okay, that works for that, but then you're still struggling in your grasp, so you find a way to get her up these extra 30 feet. So make another strength, or at this stage it's dexterity to hold on to her, or strength to get her over the...
Acrobatics?
It's not really acrobatics. It's can you hold on to this person that's trying to escape your grasp?
So dexterity. Is it?
I mean, no, first start with strength. She has to try and break out of that.
Let him bully
So
you.
again, still with advantage. Do I have an advantage on it?
Not anymore.
All right, I will use my luck point because it's 6 and it's 8. Wait, I'm using my where is it? How many of them I have? Bardic Inspiration dice. Because since last level, I can start adding those to my skill checks when I do them. But I have to declare it after the roll, but before you tell me whether or not I passed. But 8 minus 1 is probably not sufficient enough. So using that one, and it's 1d10.
But do you have any of those left? Because they're both marked off.
I do having the features and traits.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying both of your inspiration spots were marked off.
But I took a short rest. That's why they are home again. So
When did you take a short rest?
Well,
And you told us to do it.
Okay, that makes sense because a short rest is maybe an hour. Well,
I need half of it actually, so that does make sense. Sort of.
okay.
Still.
Regardless, mark it off, and you don't have it anymore. But you didn't actually need it. You're fine. She rolled quite low, so you're able to get her the rest of the way up. And would you mind maybe going on mute? And Moish.
What?
Can you go on mute?
All right. Yes.
Here, thank you. Yeah, so you get this drow up. She's still struggling, but you get her up onto the lip of the canyon.
Mm-hmm.
The echoing noises, it's still happening. And
what's the effects of the illusion that I made on the other dwarf? What are they called?
the drow,
Drows, yeah.
yeah,
Do they believe that she flew into the wall?
their arms lower, but they're still keeping up. They're not quite yelling.
They still
But
chanting.
are they still pointing at...
They're not pointing in that area anymore.
Okay.
But they are still sounding this sort of alarm.
Mhm.
Um,
Okay, my god. It's already too bright in here. I can't handle too much noise.
Okay, now, quick question. Why did I took her with me?
You took her with you so we could question her. And
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
What's a dog?
You know, I can steal a person and don't. I'm not asking any questions here.
Okay. Yeah, she is still sort of struggling to get away from you, but with between you now and Valadrin rushes over, and Sindrine and Merlina are there as well, and Falchion, who looks a little sort of not very useful. But Falchion is able to sort of grab, and Valadrin ties her up. She's restrained anyway, but she is still sort of moaning wordlessly and just trying to get away and back towards, well, you're not sure exactly where she's trying to get to.
Okay,
Um,
let's get back to
yeah.
the camp.
Okay. It takes you maybe 5 minutes or a little bit, so around that, to get back there. 10 minutes. Sindrine says, Akko, do you have a greater restoration available? I know we're going to sacrifice some more of our
she's
dust.
running really well.
But, I mean, otherwise, well, I mean, maybe not. Maybe don't use it, but what else do we have here?
I have a potion of greater healing.
That could work.
2, in fact.
No. I told you I wasted all my spells.
You didn't waste them, they were useful. You helped with all of your spells.
Yeah, I used all of them.
I mean, we wasted Coco's spells by attacking Pontifarlan after she healed him.
Oh, that's happening.
Well, we had to. He wasn't about to listen right away.
Actually,
Yeah.
That's fair.
barely did any damage.
Kondarashta says, I think that we have a bit of a problem. They are not coming this way or anything, and they're still there, but I don't sense anything yet. But why would they just be shouting like this?
Because they're crazy people.
It's an alarm.
They are connected somehow, probably.
They are connected.
Why did you take this?
What is Dyrrn's purpose, after all?
To unite in the one mind everyone he's going to consume.
I don't know.
I think that these are part of the mind, the hive mind already. Look
Yeah,
at it.
definitely.
She sort of just grabs the face of the drow, and the drow, the eyes are not really looking at anything.
Look at that.
It's like a dark elf. It's a gray-skinned, white-haired, white eyebrows. These kind of DROW.
Well, so now Drew knows what he already knew that.
He might have known it, but I don't think he knew it.
Well, we confirmed it. Now he knows.
All right.
We better set a trap now, guys, because he's coming. And he's bringing powers with us, and we're going to be facing thousands by ourselves.
Oh, beautiful.
So, what are we doing? Moish, you've gotten an hour off of your book. That's about it.
I mean, you
Just
act,
keep that
you
in
act as
mind.
if we have all of these.
I don't know how much I have left of, and I forgot to write it down one time, and
No,
then it
I-
spiraled.
Yeah, you're fine. I have it here somewhere. So that puts you at 29 hours.
How much do I need again?
No,
So that's on the book. No,
100.
no,
I imagine.
no, it's somewhere. We'll find it afterwards.
200. Oh, by the
How
way,
much have I got left? Again, then I failed absolutely at keeping track of this. I'm just assuming, since you're telling me I can keep reading it, that it's actually doing something.
you're like, I don't remember, but I think I'm getting smarter.
I mean, I've got nothing better to do.
Okay, you need 48 hours over a period of 6 days or less.
Wow.
Yeah, again, I don't remember how much time has passed.
It's been 29 hours as far as I know. I feel like I wrote it down somewhere else, but I can't find it. I have one place where I wrote it down, so we'll go with that for now. In any case, I just make sure I wrote that down and it's marked down.
Actually,
so.
that's an idea, Philopus. You should really quickly try to confuse the dark elves by dancing with the creature. You're like, no, I was just in a groovy mood.
I was thinking about singing along with them, like this sort of opportunity with 500 creatures chanting will not come up quickly.
You're very on fire.
Kundarasha says, if we have nothing else that we can do, we either I don't know what we want to
I can try kidnapping them one by one.
I don't think we have enough spell slots. I mean, if they're part of the hive mind, are we just gonna kill them, guys? Could we just do landslide and destroy all of them, and otherwise Dyrrn can use them against us? I appreciate that we're trying to be humane here, but I don't know how much we can save them. How many can we convert back to normality to see if it's worth it?
Do we need to do anything?
Well, now we do. Now,
Why? Just go away.
well, because now he's gonna command them to pursue us, I imagine.
We can stealth away.
Okay, sure.
What about the one that we have right now captured?
I don't know, eat it or something.
Throw it back.
Feed it to Mr. Jefferson.
Just make sure to throw it into the wall. Well,
Pontifarlan says, I hope that you are not considering the destruction of life, especially those that have had their identities taken from them.
No. We are just kidding here.
no,
Sure, he was kidding.
we're at a loss. We honestly don't know how you bring someone back from the hive mind. And also, how come these people could join the hive mind when they're not mind flayers? I thought that you could only be brainwashed. You don't actually join the hive mind.
I mean, no.
Obviously, Dyrrn has a great wish to unite the sentient creatures in the hive mind. He must have a broader purpose for this.
He seems too selfish, though, to care about uniting.
What do we know about him for him to seem too selfish too?
What do we know about him all?
We know that he has tortured a dead dragon friend for 1,000 years.
No offense, but
That
that's
makes him amoral, not selfish.
correct. That makes him amoral, and he had a broader purpose, which was ensuring stability for his minions to survive for 1,000 years. Enough so that they grew a large enough force to overtake the entire city of Dyrrn. We've been dilly-dallying here as much as we can, but likelihood is that the city has fallen by now.
Okay, well, suggest something. It's all complaining, but you're part of the group.
We don't need to take out this army. We just need to stealth away.
I would also vote to run. We are not, I mean, if any of us fall, we cannot be brought back while Akko is without any of her magic.
And it's settled. Let's run.
Of the city then, but
Pontifarlan says we will not. We must defeat Dyrrn. We must take him out. All of these problems will be solved if we can just do that.
Are you sure
Yes,
he's even
I agree.
here?
I'm sorry, but me too. I don't think this is kind of a soft landing trying to save part of the system situation. I think this needs to crash and burn so we can rebuild from the ground up a system that's actually maintainable and humane. So,
But if
We're resetting the economy.
yeah.
we're not fully prepared to attack Dyrrn, then we're all gonna die. Whether you're a dragon, whether you're strong, whether you're weak. He has many minions.
The trouble is we don't
Thousands
have
of
time.
minions that can kill us all, and I can do nothing about it. If one of you dies, then you die.
We have Kalen.
Kalen, yes, he's a cool guy, but he cannot heal you from the dead.
Akko, in this situation though, in the current situation that we're in, we need to escape from it. We can escape, we can run and stealth towards Dyrrn. We don't have to run back to the city. We don't have to leave the Underdark. We can just continue forward, but we can't rush in with arms drawn. We need
That's
to...
what I'm disagreeing with.
Don't worry,
We're-
there's nothing wrong with disagreement. We'll come to a
Look,
consensus.
we're gonna do the opposite of what the French did. We're gonna retreat forward.
Yeah.
Well, it's then expected, right? We'll pretend that we escaped, and in the meantime,
Yeah, sure. And in fact, they might find my writings that I left behind, misleading ones.
yeah, sure.
All right, so are we going? We're going, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Pass without a trace.
Pass without a trace. Well,
Ha
okay.
8 plus 10 plus 5. Yeah.
9 plus 10 plus 6.
As you start to move off and be stealthy, you realize that the drow that you have with you, as you are moving back towards the cavern, begins to also shout and join in the chorus of voices, preventing you from being stealthy.
Let's leave
No, why
her.
are we taking him with us?
Yeah. Her.
Her.
Guys, seriously.
Well, what are you doing with her?
We got attached.
I think we should
Just
put her back.
leave it.
Yeah,
It's
sure.
a poo-poo that you found on the street. Just leave it. Don't take it with you.
But let's leave her in such a way that she doesn't know that we're advancing forward. Let's leave her in such a way that she gets an impression that we're actually retreating in the other direction.
Let's
Okay.
keep
Okay,
her
sure.
facing wall, and she will not
Eh.
even look at her direction.
Okay, look, one of us can double back and start taking her back, while the rest of us move forward. Then we can rejoin. How about that?
Let's be very clever about this, and we'll leave her here because you haven't quite gotten to the tree line anywhere, to the mushroom line. Sindrine says she's already tied up, so she just puts her in there and says, "Now follow me," and you rush back into the forest away from the cavern. And she's positioned in such a way that she can see you retreating that way, but eventually you get out of sight, and then Sindrine kind of has you
Double
loop
back.
around and double back.
Good thinking, Sindri. Thank you. Finally.
So
Well done.
I do have a high intelligence, you know.
No.
All right, just making sure we're on the same page there. All right.
Oh no, Moish says he forgot which page he was on.
Sure, honey. Sure. Which page is that?
Yeah. All right. So the various stealth checks. 27. Okay. Enough of you rolled high enough, especially with the group, that you're able to keep yourself on track. And you begin then to move through sort of over towards that edge of the canyon, but even further away from it, where it sort of comes back up to a point. And at this stage, Kundrashta takes back over again and begins leading you sort of past the canyon and forward. You're chased by those shouts for at least another hour as you move forward. And then sort of looming out of the darkness unexpectedly, there is the descending dome of the cavern and another wall as you reach the edge of this large space. There against the wall, it is just a wall. It just sort of meets, and there are some rocks as well. It's the edge of the cavern necessarily, but you don't see any exit directly. You can go left or you can go right. Kundarashta says, I was heading directly towards what pinging I get from Dyrrn, so it is straight this way. I don't know which way we should go next.
Well, I'm just gonna follow Pontifarlan.
Okay. The Ladrin can roll or can make a choice if you want. The Ladrin says, I can. It's only a guess, really. This is how it is, but I would say we go to this way, to the right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. You progress along the wall of the cavern, sort of keeping close to it. After the mushrooms were cleared off, they never returned. The space, though still a little springy underfoot for a while, eventually came to pure stone, and now you're just walking within the normal. It's not even normal. It is the underdark, devoid of life. It is pure underground stone. The stone itself is dark. In the light that Octa carries with you to illuminate it, it's not. It's not quarry stone. It's not the normal sandstone or limestone. You don't know what material it is, but it is much darker and does not reflect the light. So you, for a while, appear to be just walking in this space of darkness almost. Eventually, the wall becomes smoother as you approach it until it is clearly carved and then maintains. And the ground also becomes smoother to meet it. And you're almost looking at the inner wall of a castle grounds in the way that it is carved smooth and makes a rectangular edge.
What makes us believe that it's so?
It just reminds you of when you were inside a large stone structure, not from the outside necessarily, where the outsides are usually left to be a little more raw, grass would do things. This is an interior space. It has the nature of being clean, cleaner lines. You're reminded a bit of the building that you encountered under the city, but there's no blocks here. It's just stones. It was carved by magic forces, not constructed. That wall goes on for another half hour at least as you walk alongside of it. It is massive. And at a certain stage, you see the ceiling begin to arc upwards again. And then you see the archway here up ahead of you to the left. This is carved out of stone, as in there are pieces that have gone to extend outwards from the wall to rise in the columns almost, or arch, shape of an arch. It's much more angular than the structures you're used to. It kind of makes sharp turns when used to, so it's not circular and flowing so much as crystalline in structure. But it forms, as you approach, you can see the full scope of it. It forms an archway that is, 100 feet high up into space, and at least 80 feet across as well. Open, darkness beyond, nothing that you can see, more of the same stone, but it is
differentiate one place from the next, at the very least. So what?
I'm barely sure, Marlena.
So are we going in?
Yeah, sure.
I mean, what else are we gonna do?
And if
Well-
we should, we're going good.
I think, and by now, though you're still in the cavernous space and you do still hear echoes of that shouting, it's enough in the distance that you don't actually. Again, you only hear like faint echoes. It's just a sort of ambient hum of the voices shouting, but they are still shouting.
Did we succeed in misleading them?
We're gonna succeed in
We
making
don't know.
all of them lose their voice, so later we can come back and capture as many as we want.
That's also a good point of reference.
It does actually. It gives you a sense of where you are within the broader space of that central cavern.
We're basically bats.
Yeah.
Kundarashta says, I mean, through this archway is where I get the sense that Dyrrn is. We can head that way. At some stage, we will need to find a place to rest, though. And she says, all deference to you, great Pontifarlan, but I do not think that we can succeed in a battle against him, even with our large troop, without a proper night rest.
Yep.
Agree.
Pontifarlan looks indecisive. He says, I understand the need for such things, but
When is the last time you had a dream? Like a real dream?
More importantly, it'd be bad to get to this stage and then fail to enact justice and revenge.
he says, I remember a time when I was left lucid for longer than usual. These would come occasionally, where Dyrrn would be distracted with some other matter and would not renew the spell that kept me feeble of mind. I remember seeing large groups of elves being led through the caverns. I remember seeing large groups of humans. In the most recent case, this was perhaps only a few decades ago. I remember seeing hundreds of people being led in from the surface past where I resided. That evening I did dream. Yes, I remember that as well. And then Dyrrn returned and myself was lost until you found me. Kundarashta says, you said 30 or a few decades previously, but that was during the Great War. There was no exchange with the underdark during that time. Things grew quite chaotic. We at times had lost contact with Dyrrn and the underdark.
Well,
The people.
I think that there's more than just you guys. Then. Like clearly, he thinks that your city is just one of his targets. So who knows whom else he was dealing with?
You say that, Marlena, but are you sure? I mean, yeah, we get it. In the global scope of things, he probably wants to unite the whole world and everyone in it. But do we know he operates within other realms outside of this one?
I mean, you know what's really weird to me, Mush, is like if he can sense all of these minds, if he can control all of these minds, if he can access everyone, then that to me it feels like a kind of skill of a super empath, not a skill of a psychopath. which tells me that it's really weird that then he would be cruel to creatures or torture creatures or make creatures numb, because you would immediately sense that you and the creature are one. It seems so counterintuitive.
Well, look at it this way. He can. I don't know if he is one, but hypothetically, if he is an empath, he can believe in a greater good and make others suffer for it. That's not an unheard of concept, surely.
Yeah, but it's literally as hard as being a mountain climber and needing to chop off your own hand in order to survive. 99% of the people would not do that, even if their life depended on it.
Well, yes, I agree. But again,
And
it all depends on his resolve to commit to what he believes is best. If he's an empath, he might not be an empath at all and might just be self-absorbed.
Sindrine says, I mean, what's her voice? I mean, sorry. most of us don't have the ability to regenerate that hand, but he more or less does. At the very least, can borrow that hand from someone else he finds along the way. For him, it's much less. Well, I don't know, but you do make a good point. But perhaps the empathy isn't there. Well, we don't know enough.
Yeah, again, we don't know enough, but even if he is, as you suggest, an empath, he clearly believes in what he's doing. It's immoral, but it's not unreasonable, is what I'm getting at here.
No, my problem isn't with the morality of it. You know, we all have different standards of morality. It's the fact that making somebody suffer so much when you absorb them into the one mind, their suffering becomes your suffering. And like, what utter new level of masochism is this, that he's able to do this over and over and over again? I can't possibly imagine any end that would justify those kinds of means. It must be complete insanity. Like,
well, as an example, eternal paradise, there is such thing as self-flagellation among religious cults. For instance, not naming any specific ones, that people believe absolves them of their wrongdoings and will lead them to paradise.
Yeah, but if you believe Hollywood, the only people who do that are the villains who are insane.
I don't know what is Hollywood.
Yeah,
it's a village next to. Oh, never mind.
It's next to Akko's town, right? Hollywood.
Yeah. I'm not sure.
But it doesn't sound very credible, Merlina. Something about it is fishy. Like it's all bullshit.
I don't think we are capable of understanding the level of complexity this creature represents, and I don't think we can even understand what, at this point at least, what are his true, what is his true purpose in this?
I think, Falafis, that we might be able to guess, but is that going to change anything? I can't think of anything that it would change. We still want to stop him at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's for sure. Do we need a rest for that?
Valak says, I do think we're walking around in circles, so to speak. Can we find a place to rest?
Yeah.
Moish is already in Valadrin's hood.
This is obviously a doorway, so we should go a little bit away from here. But maybe, Marlena, you can mold earth, and then
Falafis has a thingy.
Falafis, your dome could be covering that earth, so from the outside perspective, it might just look like we're in a
hut.
Well, not even a hut.
Bump.
Just a bump. Something like that.
It's like when Frodo and Sam covered each other with a cape next to the gates of Mordor.
How much room does your hut allow?
Let me tell you, it's 10-foot radius immobile dome.
20 foot across, 10 foot high. It's going to be pretty tight in there.
But inside, wait. 9 creatures of medium size or smaller can fit inside.
Okay. So, that's not everyone.
It's fine.
No, well, it's not. You have to stay outside. It's just that
of the Warforged.
Wait, but wait, I can cast 2 of those.
But you can't cast them both at once, I think.
Casting time, range, area, components, duration. So I don't know.
Tiny hut. No, because it has to center around you.
Oh,
So it's fine. The Warforged, or Falchion anyway, says, look, don't worry too much about it. We can stay out here. We don't really make that much noise when we're powered down, so to speak. So it'll give us a chance to talk with the others and see what they're like. Lady Tinker sort of floats over and says, I think you'll find us quite interesting. And he goes, I'm sure we. Excellent. Not at all creepy. Well done. So yeah, Pontifarlan as well says, I have no need to hide. If he's going to come for me again, I will be prepared. But in the meantime, I can stay outside.
just make sure
Well,
that
we
you
know
also
who's
get
keeping watch.
There's enough room for basically everyone else, though. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 9. Yeah, even for Pontifarlan could fit in if he wants, but he doesn't want to. So you're fine. With that, you put the dome up. Everyone sort of gathers around. Merlina scaffolds out over the course of a few cantrips, molding earth enough to clear the space, and you begin to attempt your long rest, and we'll pick up there next time.
Can we do it now? I mean, take the long rest?
No, because you have to do the watches.
Oh, yeah, right.
Thank you all for watching.
Like and subscribe.
Recording.
What? I have to stop?
Yeah, you have to stop there.
Bye, sweetie.
See you next time.